You know, there are some lines from Scripture that are so familiar, we feel like we know them inside and out. But sometimes, that familiarity can actually hide what's really going on, a much deeper, more challenging meaning. Today, we're going to dig into one of the most famous commandments of all time, and I think we're going to uncover something that might just change how you see your most basic relationships. Let's jump in.
And there it is, the fifth commandment. It's simple. It's direct. For a lot of us, it was probably the first one we ever had to learn. It feels pretty straightforward, right? Almost self-explanatory. But what if the key word in that whole sentence, honor, doesn't mean what we've all been taught to think it means? And that is the question that just changes everything. See, the common assumption, the one we all kind of grew up with, is that honor is basically just a fancy word for obey, a command aimed mostly at little kids. But the original text, it suggests something way more profound, a lifelong principle that has very little to do with just doing what you're told.
Okay, so first things first, we have to take apart this myth that the fifth commandment is just for kids. Its placement, its wording, everything about it in the Ten Commandments tells us that it carries this unique foundational weight for everybody at every single stage of life.
So you've got this popular view, right? That honor equals obey, and it's a rule that pretty much expires once you move out and become an adult. But the reality in the text is just completely different. It's actually a command for your entire life, and it's about giving real, tangible weight and significance to your parents. A posture that, yeah, it changes over time, but it never, ever ends. Structurally, this command is fascinating. So the first 4 commandments, they're all about our relationship with God. And the last 6, they're about our relationships with other people. And this one, the 5th one, sits right there in the middle, like a hinge connecting the two. And why is that? Well, because the same Hebrew words that are used for honoring and revering God are the very same ones used for honoring and revering parents. It's intentionally linking the two.
And you can really see how special this command is in a couple of ways. I mean, think about it. Out of all 10, it's the only one that's framed as a positive command, honor, instead of a negative one like you shall not. And, as the Apostle Paul later points out in Ephesians, it's the very first commandment that comes with a specific promise, that your days may be long in the land. Now, these aren't just little decorative details. They're huge signals of its importance.
So, if honor doesn't just mean obedience, then what in the world is it? To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to dig into the original language, into the Hebrew verb that's at the very heart of the command.
The Hebrew verb is kabat, and its root meaning is to be heavy or weighty. So to kabad someone means to treat them as if they have real substance, real significance that you just can't dismiss or ignore. It's actually the same root word used to describe the glory, the kavod of God. So to honor your parents is to treat them as weighty, significant people in your life.
And one of the best ways to understand what something is to look at what it's not. The opposite of treating someone as heavy, as kabad, is to treat them as light, as trivial, as unimportant. The words for dishonoring, kalalea and kala, they mean to make light of, to humiliate or to treat with contempt. So the commandment is really a warning against bringing your parents low.
So here's the bottom line. The command isn't primarily about blind obedience. It's about maintaining a posture, an attitude that just refuses to degrade, humiliate, or treat your parents with contempt. It's about protecting their God-given status and significance, which, let's be honest, is a much more demanding and complex job than just doing what you're told.
Okay, so since this is a lifelong command, how you apply it has to change, right? I mean, the way a 5-year-old shows honor is totally different from how a 50-year-old shows it. And there's a powerful story from the New Testament that gives us a perfect example of what this looks like for adults.
As with so many things, Jesus just cuts right through the noise and gives us the sharpest clarity. He didn't just agree with the command, he actually confronted a religious tradition that people were using to get around its real demands, showing us exactly what honoring parents looks like in the messiness of the real world.
So there was this practice called korban. Basically, a person could declare their money or their property as a gift that was dedicated to God, and that conveniently made those resources unavailable for any other purpose, including taking care of their aging parents who really needed the help. It was a very pious-sounding excuse to get out of a fundamental duty.
And Jesus' response? It was absolutely scathing. He didn't see this as some legitimate conflict between two religious duties. No, he saw it as a clear-cut rejection of God's command just to prop up a human-made loophole. For Jesus, the fifth commandment was not optional, and it couldn't be canceled out by some clever tradition. So this whole episode confirms two really critical things for us. First, honor isn't just a feeling. It includes concrete, real-world material support for parents when they're in need. And second, this is clearly a command for adults with their own money and resources. No religious practice, no matter how sincere it seems, can ever be used as an excuse to break it.
So all of this brings us to the most difficult, most practical question of all. We don't live in a perfect world. What does it actually mean to honor a parent when their demands are harmful, or sinful, or just plain irrational?
I mean, this is where it gets really, really complicated, right? What if a parent with dementia wants to make a totally disastrous financial decision? What if a parent is demanding you participate in something that you know is unethical? Does honor mean you have to go along with it and help them do it? Here is a clarifying principle that is just so important to hold on to. No commandment of God is ever designed to be a tool for evil. So if your interpretation of honor means you have to enable destructive behavior or legitimize cruelty or help someone sin, your interpretation is wrong. The command was not given to help harm happen.
So why? Why is this command so weighty? Well, its deepest foundation is the imago Dei, the reality that every single human being is made in the image of God. To demean or humiliate a parent isn't just a personal insult, it's an offense against the one whose image they carry. It's in the family that we first learn this posture of reverence that is ultimately owed to God Himself.
So in every difficult situation, in every complex family moment, the question is never just, did I comply? The real question, the one we have to keep asking ourselves is, did I honor? Did I act in a way that treated this person as weighty and significant? Did I act in their genuine best interest before a God who sees it all? That is the lifelong challenge of honoring your father and your mother.